as a political party, an Islamist political party, we are very conscious about support and how we are perceived by the greater cross-section and constituencies of the rakyat. And it is in our conviction that we must always be consistent, very principle-centered, yet able to contextualize to our varied demands of a plural society. That is not easy. It's always easier said, because plural society brings about a very double-edged kind of constraint and demands, and usually they are very mutually exclusive, in the sense that when you attempt at appeasing, meaning one section of the society, you actually incur the wrath and the dislike and the hatred of another. So it is here that the PAS thought that it is the safest thing to do is to always remain, principle centered and guided by our principles. We must always remain consistent, steadfast. Steadfast in the sense that sometimes you are faced with a lot of challenges and onslaughts and all kind of demonization, as the issue of, particularly in the issue of the name of Allah, for example, the usage of the name of Allah. But we must always remain steadfast and consistent. I think that's how we believe that through time right now, coming of age to now be convinced by the constituency that PAS very principle centered, and is, for example, we are against racist politics. Therefore, you must not in any way, in any handling of any issues, however acrimonious or difficult or precarious it is, particularly because if it bites, it cuts both ways, as I said earlier, double-edged kind of issues. The right want to see whether this PAS is consistent, or do they double speak, or do they have forked tongue, So that's how we, in a nutshell, in summary, how we will always gain the support and broaden our support, cutting across the entire citizenry, voters, electorates, rakyat. And of course, coming close to that is, of course, always be relevant, in the sense of always being, on the ground, ears on the ground, touch base with your rakyat, never be detached, in your lofty ideals, whatever. So that's how we feel that we would always remain to be fulfilling the expectation, the hope of the rakyat. That's very important.
Alright, Doctor. Where are the young PAS leaders in championing a certain cause? Because you don't see that much active participation.
I must say that I'm quite uncomfortable with that kind of allegation time and time again, and especially in a forum setting, because I don't think that is quite fair. I must say that although PAS youth leaders may not, be visible in the sense of taking the public platform and the public spheres of debates and forum as such, but I must say, in all fairness, that PAS youth leaders, namely the youth chief, his deputy, and others, such as Tantawi, Rashidin Tantawi, Nick Abdul, they are in fact within their spheres and domain of activism. They are quite connected, maybe not as such in the bigger constituencies of, would I say, non-Muslim, non-Malays constituencies, However, among the Malays, you know, especially both rural and semi-rural or suburban, and also in a more town or urban settings, there are activities of them, you know, be they, you know, things to do with outgoing kind of programs like sports, you know, or to do with youth, yeah, or events of entertainment, hiburan. I must say that they have yet to come into direct contact with you know, those perhaps more English speaking, perhaps, you know, more urban kind of urban kind of constituencies, youth. Yeah, I think those are the, and perhaps I think if we are able to see, if we could get the more English speaking youth leaders, besides of course those that I've mentioned, perhaps they could take on engagement and activism that will cut across new constituencies and new sections of youth. Yeah, and that notwithstanding, they are of course in the universities, you know, they are quite engaged with universities, student activism. So yes, I wouldn't say that it's right, you know, to say that they are not engaged or they are disengaged themselves, because I know for a fact that they do, and there are activities where I personally, you know, came around to witness it and, you know, be partake in it. Now they've just finished their big program of Ijtima' Tarbawi. Of course, you know, these are the kind of activities that I've said to you. It's more of a capacity building. What you are saying in short, and others are also would be accusing or criticizing or wanting more of the youth leader, is to be seen like, you know, perhaps as I've said earlier, to be seen like connecting or engaging with the more, you know, non-Malays, non-Muslim constituencies, or even the kind of Malays Muslim urban constituencies. Yes, I think there's still rooms, you know, for improvement along that line, and I hope within the very near future. I know for a fact that we have professionals and we have young, very, you know, competent and professionals of youth past leaders, past youth leaders, but then maybe they are not in the front line as such, as yet.